The Purchases/Receive Inventory window is used to enter purchases from vendors and also enter inventory received from purchase orders you have placed. Just as in the Sales and Invoicing screen, you have two tabs into which you can input information: the Apply to Purchase Order Number tab and the Apply to Purchases tab. To access the Purchases and Receive Inventory window, select Tasks, then choose Purchases/Receive Inventory from the menu bar. Select the Vendor's ID from the Vendor ID field at the top of the form to show open purchase orders you have entered for the vendor on the Apply to Purchase Order Number tab below. If the vendor has no open purchase orders, then the Apply to Purchases tab will come forward instead. At the top of this window is the Invoice Number field where you enter the invoice number for the vendor's bill. This can be left blank if the invoice wasn't received with the items. Just make sure that the Waiting on Bill checkbox is selected instead. Enter the date of the vendor's bill into the Invoice Date text box. You should also see the vendor's name and address and your name and address at the top as well. If this shipment you are receiving is fulfilling a purchase order and you are using the form to indicate that you received inventory, the account will be assigned on the purchase order. For all other purchases, it defaults to the last AP account used on a purchase transaction. You select the Apply to Purchases tab to enter items purchased that are not associated with a purchase order. You can also place items that you received but didn't order in the purchase order on this tab as well. When a vendor without open purchase orders is selected, this tab automatically appears. Here you enter the quantity, item, description, GL account, unit price, and amount for the items that you purchased or received in addition to items shipped from a purchase order. You would select the Apply to Purchase Order tab to receive items against open purchase orders. This tab will automatically appear when you select vendors that have one or more open purchase orders. The first thing you do here is select which purchase order to receive against by using the drop-down that appears after the Apply to Purchase Order Number label to select a purchase order from the drop-down list. All open purchase orders for the selected vendor are listed. On this tab, you will see the items that were ordered in the selected purchase order, the number remaining to be shipped, the number received, the description, the general ledger account, the unit price, and the line item amount. After entering the items and quantities, note that you can also enter the serial numbers for serialized stock that you have entered into the line items area. To do this, select the first serialized stock item in the line items area and then click the serial number button in the toolbar at the top of the window to open the serial number entry dialog box. Enter the first serial number into the Enter a Serial Number to Add field. If the serial numbers you need to add are consecutively numbered, you can check the Add Blank Consecutive Serial Numbers checkbox and then enter the number of consecutive serial numbers to enter into the adjacent field. After entering a serial number, click the Add button to add it to the list of serial numbers shown. You can then repeat this process until you have entered all of the serial numbers for all of the items purchased. You can see the total count of serial numbers you need to add for the selected item shown at the bottom of the window. When finished, click the OK button to return to the Purchases/Receive Inventory window, or click the OK/Next button to move to the next serialized stock item for which you need to enter serial numbers within the form. Doing this allows you to not have to close and reopen this dialog box for each serialized stock item. At the bottom of this window are fields that affect the balance. The Other Payments and Credits field displays the sum of all payments that have been applied to this invoice. This doesn't include any payments entered in the Amount Paid at Purchase field. The Amount Paid at Purchase field allows you to make a full or partial payment when you receive the items. You can then enter a reference and general ledger account that you will use to pay the bill. The invoice total shows the sum of all lines on the purchase invoice, and the net due shows the calculated value based on invoice total minus amount paid at purchase. Also note the Copy button in the toolbar at the top of the window. You can click the drop-down arrow that appears next to this button, and then choose the Create Recurring command from the drop-down menu that appears to create a recurring purchase. For any purchases that you make consistently in a recurring manner, you can create the purchase once and then have it recur in this and future time periods by selecting the frequency with which to automatically have this purchase recur in the Create Recurring Purchases dialog box. Once you have set the purchase frequency, you can then click the OK button to create the future purchases in Sage 50. Doing this can save time when creating purchases that you always make at the same time within a period from the same vendor. When you're finished with the Purchases Receive Inventory window, simply click the Save button in the toolbar at the top of the window to save the transaction.